That works for you guys.
They're here?
I'll just turn it on.
Did you get someone else to cook?
No, I'm finished. I couldn't
Yeah.
do my first one.
All
Got it.
right, the first thing we need is a motion to approve the last minutes of the last meeting. Claudia? Second? Peter? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Lexi?
Okay, we're going to just change up our agenda a little bit. We have a gentleman here, Mr. Dale Javino. He has some property in the town of Stony Creek. So, Dale, we're just going to let you speak first.
Absolutely, no problem.
Okay?
Can I just sit up here somewhere?
Yeah,
Sure you can, sure.
Maybe the podium doesn't work?
There you go, the podium.
Excellent.
I made my cords.
Okay. Give me a second. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Mr. Laurie and Mr. Swan told me he's not going to be here, so I got to cross him off my list. My name is Dale Javino. I'm the owner and responsible person of the property in question, Lewis Waite Road, 259-1-19, American Land. And I thank you all for the chance of letting me be able to speak today. I did mention to the county attorney that I was going to possibly speak, and I figured if I didn't come up here, I don't have a snowball's chance in hell, so to speak, to pay you guys and make this all right. Anyway, but please don't prejudice me by my New York City accent. We're all New Yorkers, and we're all Americans, okay? I left my house about 4 o'clock this morning to be here by 10 in respect to all of you, that I'm serious about this matter, okay? Today I'm here before you to face the music and briefly explain why my tax is delinquent. And I'm going to say divorce. And I'm not about excuses, I'm about solutions. And I have a solution I want to propose to you people. And but divorce affects every part of a person's life. Children, home, heart, finances. However, I'm a God-fearing man, and I'm a very lucky man. I've been coming up here since I was very young, and in 1990 got my girlfriend pregnant. Being a pro-life and no-law, Roe versus Wade, so to speak, I prayed to God to show me a sign. What do I do? When a fork comes in the road, what do I do? Please show me a sign, what do I do? And I just want to pass around a picture, if that's okay. Just, and here's the sign from God, so to speak. I'm sorry, Supervisor. Just throw that one. There's 2 of them. Now, there's definitely a sign, so. And coming up here, we had traffic, rain, fog. It even got pulled over by the state police a quarter mile from the exit, but nothing's going to stop God's will, so to speak. So I appreciate Warren County extending me the last payment agreement and agree with the commission that Warren County is not a bank. And I propose today, as I stand here, the payment of all the taxes due on or before, I'm going to say the 29th of September, which is the last day in this month. Okay? And I know the last chance meeting was probably a couple of months ago. So, but I'm basically on fire all the way around, but I'm coming out of the divorce and all kinds of other stuff, and things are looking good. So, and I'm asking for the last day of September, on or before, so to speak. Here we'll give the county plenty of time to sell the property by October 21st, 2017. I have $2,000 cash today, but even though when I spoke to the county attorney, he said, we want all the money then. Okay, fine. And I got $6,500 waiting for me in Long Island City, but I passed there about 4:30 this morning, they're closed. But on the way back, I'm going to pick up that check and have the additional balance by the end of the week, but I don't want to cut myself short and add to the end of the month. It's 11 days, that's all I'm asking, 11 days, okay? And so, Mr. Laurie, you said it yourself, I'm not going to make it this time, but I promise you, I will, if you just give me the chance. It's the American way, okay? Just give the, like, for example, like the chance in, like, the Wizard of Oz, bring me back the witch's broom, and give me till the 29th, and I'll do it. I will, because I always come through. And I just, a couple list of things. I've never asked for a reduction in property tax. I never complained about anything. Snow plowing, I can't get to the property in the winter time, but I'm not complaining. No proceedings to delete any outstanding tax, paid off the original tax payment agreement, and will never ask again for another payment agreement. Paid in full the Nichols Road property that I have, and there's no road frontage and no right of way, but, and unfortunately, I bounced a check to you people, which I made good for, And the check that bounced was this property, the important property, not the other one, but I made good for it. I FedExed it right away, it cost me $62 to get it here by 2 o'clock the other day. And then I did submit a verified answer and argued jurisdiction, but that's between me and the county attorney. And there are no environmental issues with the property, and that's exactly how it will stay forever wild. I want to build a log cabin on it with material mostly from the property with the permits and to code. And the property is not for sale. You know, and on a side note, I like to say, just, you know, for future things, the point that everything points to upstate New York. I'm going to tell you why. You got global warming. This could be the next oceanfront shoreline. It's what, 800 feet above sea level, right? So, just, I mean, I know I'm thinking far into the future, but listen, who figures planes were going to hit the World Trade Center? And I bring up that simple thing. This is a safe place up here. This is safe. And not to bring up this, but it could be possibly, and God forbid it never happens, the refugees won't be coming from the Middle East like all those Muslims and stuff. If there's any Muslims here, I don't mean to disrespect anybody, but, you know, I'm not going to get into the whole politics of that and religion and stuff, but we have freedoms of religion, and I don't force my religion on anybody, but they do. Anyway, the refugees will come from, and by the droves, from New York City to come up here, and from Long Island too, like me. So that's if the terrorists get what they want in New York City. So in other words, they want to nuke New York City. It was my original plan to build a beautiful log home, retire here, to beautiful Warren County, and be out of harm's way. Everything is timing. And I want to show another picture, just simple timing, not to bore you guys with stupid pictures, but I have, and there's two here, Mr. Supervisor. I have my twins and my other son on the 86th floor observatory of the Empire State Building. And the reason why I took it was because I'd never been to the Empire State Building, and I was 40 years old at the time. And if you look at the date of the tickets, it's 12 days before the World Trade Centers got hit by planes. So imagine if I took my kids 2 weeks later to the World Trade Center, where would I wouldn't even be talking to you guys today, I wouldn't be here. So everything is timing, so. And I do fit the prerequisite to this tribunal, being I can pay and will continue to pay and bring nothing but prosperity to this community. And about 26 years ago, I started a company called Wells Water in Fulton County. It didn't work out, but the best water around, as far as I'm concerned, is right up here. And I bring gallons of it home, north of Albany, of course, because I think during the war, World War II, the aircraft factories polluted the grounds, I think. I mean, I'm not, you know, and the pollution goes south. So does all the wind and stuff. So if they ever do anything to New York City, it's not going to come up here. And then I will travel over 500 miles today in 10 hours to face all you good people, my hardship. And all I ask for is 11 days, okay? And then this matter will end. And I'll sign today with the county attorney, or whatever he wants to do, that on the 29th of September, if I don't pay, that's it. You guys get the property, God bless you. But I still got the property in Nichols Road, even though it has no road frontage, I can't get to it. And no matter what happens, you can never keep a good guy down. I'm living proof. And I have another stupid picture I want to show you. Just want to pass that around. And does anybody have any questions?
Just real quick, what
Right ahead.
is the outstanding balance? What is
About $12,000. It might be a little less.
Lexi?
That certainly,
Claudia?
that certainly gave him a couple of points in my opinion.
I just would like Lexi to go, just give us a quick update on the last installment agreement, that whether that's been paid off and what we're looking at now, he has to pay by, what he's offering to pay by the 29th.
Okay, so he had an extension until the end of August. And so by the end of August, he had sent us a check to pay off the installment agreement that he was in prior. That check bounced, like he stated, and we just received on Friday a cashier's check from the bank, and we also got the bounce check fee included. So that is completely paid off. So now all that he owes is just the amount of the
15, 16, 17.
Yes, correct. So that is what he does owe to us.
Right. How much did you say?
It's close to $12,000. I don't have the exact figure,
Right.
of course, I didn't bring that with me. I wasn't sure he was showing.
Get 12.
Well, that, we can get that from the treasurer's office too.
Yeah.
As long as, if the committee's wanting to extend the time, the 11 days until the 29th to pay off everything with his understanding that that's it. There's no more time.
Yeah. See, what they're stating is that if they give you this agreement, you will only have till the 29th. If we do not receive payment by the 29th, it is going to go to the auction in October for sale.
Thank you very much.
Oh, wait,
They
wait,
have to...
I know, I'm
agree
just,
to
that's
this. I said
exactly the
if.
plan. Okay.
Okay.
Supervisor,
We don't want to take anybody's property, we always have that rule. And the way Lexi just stated it, I hereby try to get it on the 28th.
Thank you for saying that. And listen, where I come from, people aren't as honest as you,
I
okay?
like
They
that.
want to take the property, make money off it.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept his offer and move forward with this.
all right. Peter?
Yes, I second that. I'd also like to make a comment if I can.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I will never vote to foreclose on someone's property. I just can't do it emotionally.
Thank you,
And
thank you.
I think Supervisor Merlino, over the years, I think he would, concur with that. I'm not going to hold it against you that I just saw a picture of Donald Trump.
Only because things happen to me that don't happen. Listen, my first boy, I said, dear God, show me a sign to get twins, and there's so much more. I go to the Empire State Building with my kids, and 12 days later, the World Trade Center get hit. And there's a lot of other good things that have happened. So,
Thank you for your long trip and your
listen, you're 100%. I thank you for letting me speak, okay?
All right,
I love
I'll-
this county.
We need to...
11-something. All right, we're done? Are we agreed, or am I under the...
No,
We got to vote on it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Sit down and
All right, all right.
we can do our job.
Okay.
John, you had a...
I agree with Supervisors Molino and McDivitt on this matter.
All right, we'll tell the vote, all in favor? You're good.
Are we in?
You're in.
Listen, if I didn't come up here, it would be over.
Yeah.
I promise you, I haven't heard the last of me. Positive things, and good things are gonna come. You'll see. And one last thing off the record, so to speak, even though it's probably being recorded by the press, who knows what. Mr. Laurie, I don't have a woman in my life because I got divorced. And where I come from, Cablevision charges $10 to talk to a human being. If that's the case, I owe Warren County another $300 on top of it, so Mr. Laurie called me, and I appreciate the call, believe me, I'm very happy. You're never bothering me, because I'm on fire all over, I got a million things going on. He said, Mr. Trevino, you got till the 14th of July. Okay. You understand? So I appreciate the call, but Mr. Laurie, you're not gonna be calling me anymore. No,
That would be
We're gonna be paying.
phenomenal.
I got a tax bill in the mail, and I hope that's the taxes.
You would have just gotten in September the school tax bill.
Right, okay, so.
Get it paid.
All right.
I will.
When you do move up here, you're gonna run for town supervisor?
There's more to my story, sir. There's more to my story, and you know something? I was in Fulton County, they ran me out of town. I would put 200 workers to work at Wells Water, the best water anywhere.
Nicer has it now.
Okay, we need
Thank
to...
you.
I'd like to leave now, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you are good.
We're gonna go, I'm gonna show him the property, and thank you, and I'll be back by the 29th, well,
Good.
on or before.
Okay.
Okay? I always fix it true, and I do know him because I do construction in the city.
It has to be cash or certified
I know,
funds. Okay. I'm
Once
just-
you're about to check, it's over.
I'm
Listen,
just letting
I
you
hear
know.
face the music, and I always pay.
Please,
Listen,
please.
thank you for giving me the chance.
Please come back.
I'll be back. You guys need a guy like me up here, you'll see. Take care, everybody.
Okay, well, we're going to go back to the beginning. And the first thing under action agenda and new business is, we have 4 pieces of property in the town of Lake Luzerne that are kind of like roads, that are in the auction. However, we have gotten a request from the town of Lake Luzerne, and I did include it in your packets. There's a letter, and they also passed a resolution. They would like to acquire these 4 pieces of property from us for town use. In the past, what we have done is, if a town comes to us and it's something that we're foreclosing on and they're interested in it, we usually move forward with pulling it out of the auction for the town to be able to purchase it. They either purchase it for the outstanding taxes or a third of the value, whichever is less. So at this point, I have a resolution before you asking for you to approve for the town of Lake Luzerne to be able to purchase these 4 properties from the county once we take title to them.
Gene?
No, I'm not making the motion, I want somebody else, but I just wanted, anybody want to question it. These pieces of property are roads, and they've been on the town road list for 40 years. Somehow, we found out they weren't belonging to the town. But if we don't get these pieces of property, there's about 6 homes that won't have access to their property. And that's why we really want to do it. Not that I want to spend the money, but,
Right.
you know, somebody could close the road off and say you can't get to the property. So that's the only reason we're trying to get it.
Hey, John?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Peter?
Yes.
All in favor of Gene?
Aye.
All right,
Okay.
you have your roads, Gene.
Well, he will.
As soon as I pay the bill.
The next resolution is to delete the additional foreclosure charges on those 4 parcels. The town wouldn't be responsible for those, we remove them. He just pays the taxes plus the penalties, but he doesn't pay the additional foreclosure fees. So I'm asking for you in the next resolution to please put a resolution through to delete those foreclosure charges, the additional charges.
John?
I'll make that motion.
Claudia? Second. All in favor?
Aye. Okay, next, I have before you a resolution. Normally, you guys are doing resolutions for approving chargebacks, chargebacks or some refunds. This one, whenever anybody files for a correction of error, they get submitted through my office. You guys just don't usually see the forms because they come through just as those chargebacks to you in a list, and then they get signed at a later date by the chairman. So this one is a little bit different. They have requested to get a refund of taxes for 2015, 16, and 17 town of Bolton taxes. It's not a correctable error, so I am asking for it to be denied. I signed it under my position to deny it. This is not considered to be a correctable under the corrections of error procedure. It is fundamentally a valuation complaint. It should have been directed to the Board of Assessment Review while the complaint period was still open. Everybody's given a chance in May to grieve their properties through the Board of Assessment Review. They put the tentative rollout for anybody to be able to review your individual parcel to make sure that you agree with everything that's on there and that, you know, you're being assessed correctly. These people never did any of that. They waited until July. It was July 14th that this application was filled out, which is after the final roll has been already filed. So if he had gone back in May and done things properly, they would have, you know, been able to go before the Board of Assessment Review. If it was approved, it was approved. If it was denied, they could have filed a small claim if they weren't happy with their decision. But what they're asking for is just, it was an error in the footage. It has nothing to do with the acreage. The acreage never changed. So you'll see on there is a second page to the application that was filled out, which gives you all the means for them to be able to apply, and none of this falls under the means. I thought I did. And so I did a little bit of research.
Basically 3 times there's clerical errors, central fact, and unlawful.
Correct. And then under each, there's a subsection category, and this just does not apply. I reached out to other directors in the state looking for some opinions, and I had this similar situation happen out in, where's Robin? Canandaigua Lake. And so the same thing. So I have an opinion here from Joe Gerberg, which is an attorney at the state of New York, who stated the same thing that I just read to you. So he says, I would not consider this to be a correctable under the corrections of error procedure. It's nothing with the acreage, whereas the fundamental issue here is lakefront footage. They are not the same thing. Land area is a two-dimensional measurement. Lakefront footage, though clearly relevant to property value, is a one-dimensional measurement. This is fundamentally a valuation complaint, and as such, it should have been directed to the Board of Assessment Review while the complaint period was still open. Correction of error is not a vehicle to raise valuation complaints, and with the sole exception of acreage errors, inventory errors are not within the scope of change of assessment, or correction of errors. So, my recommendation is to deny this. So, I'm putting it before you to be able to pass a resolution, just like we would for chargebacks. We'd put a resolution through as a denial. And then once that's done, if that happens, and it goes through and it's signed, then the actual owner will be given a copy of the resolution that denies, as well as the application that was denied as well.
We have a motion. Peter? Second? Oh, we have a
Can I ask
question.
a question now?
Mhm.
So, this person can still grieve this with the town, right, at any
He can,
time?
he can go back to Board of Assessment Review in
Right.
the spring.
And
The
do
only
it
thing-
proper way?
He could. The only thing is we've corrected the issue, and so the assessor therefore is correcting hers for next year's roll, so next year's roll should be corrected.
The boundaries or the measurements?
Yes, it was just on the
But he could
lakefront.
always go in and, he
Correct,
can
at
go
any
in
time, every
anytime
year.
and go in and grieve this with the
Correct.
town.
There's a
So
grievance
there is
day
an
in
avenue
May.
for this gentleman or person to go back to the town
Yes,
at a later date, okay.
correct.
Yeah, Ryan?
Just how much money are we talking about?
I don't know, because the valuation is done through the assessor's office in the town, not my office, so I wouldn't see any of her valuation information. I could request that from her, but I
I'm
don't.
just curious, I mean, obviously, he thinks it's worth something to fight the battle, but I'm wondering what we're talking about.
Again, like I said, I'm not sure, because I don't have her valuation. We don't do that here. It's done by the assessors, so she could calculate it out, but, I mean, for 3 years, you might be looking at maybe $6,000.
Okay.
Wow, it's not,
That's what, I was just trying to get a ballpark.
It could be.
The land assessed value, which is what we'd be talking about here, is $497,300 on a .35 acre lot. The full market value is $741,000. It's multiple residents on it. But if we're just talking about, shoreline
Correct.
frontage is
Yes,
by how many feet?
5 feet.
5 feet.
and what's a foot of Lake George frontage worth today?
Diamond Point. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but I don't know the exact figure, so I don't want to throw it at you.
$3,000?
Could be more.
The problem though is we can't do anything here.
Correct. There is nothing that is correctable. It's not a correctable matter. I mean,
51 cents from
there was also a request that came through for the school bill that just went out, looking for them to correct that as well. I did deny that on my end and forward it on to the school board to make their decision, and as far as I know, they are moving
We're not
forward with a
proper
denial as well. It doesn't fall under the means for correction.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Jean? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Lexi?
So, next would be my budget review. Want to do that before your septic, right? Okay, I believe you guys all have copies of that in your packet. And I have two codes. One is real property tax services, and supplies to town. So the first one is the 1355. I don't know if you guys, any of you have had a chance to review it ahead of time or not, but I start with the revenues, the $12.50, the assessor's fees, tax maps. This is the money we take in for receipts in our office. So I did decrease it a little bit from last year just because looking at last year's figures compared to this year at the same time, it looks like we're down just a little bit. So I did decrease it. The next one, the $12.51, is the school bill processing fees. So that's what we charge back to the schools for any of the processing that we do for all the school tax bills, the tax rolls, and receipts. That did go up some. There was some, last year there was something in the billing that I don't think totally was correct, so when my deputy looked at it again this year, she said that the figure should be closer to this than it was last year, so that's why we have the increase.
So the 11,800?
Yes. The next one, the $12.58, which is the RPS license fees from the town. We charge back to the towns half of the fees for the RPS licensing agreement that we get with the state of New York. So this money is money that the town pays to us, and then we pay the equal share, and we merge it together, and that's what we pay the state of New York.
Sorry.
The sales data transmission, that is money that we get from the state of New York. We do SalesNet and ScanNet, or SalesScan. So on the new RPs, there's a barcode, we scan those. It populates any of the missing information or information that was not saved down. We have to manually input, and then we transmit those reports to the state once a month, and that's what they use to populate their system with. So they pay us 50 cents a parcel for this, so that's where this money comes in to us from. The 3040, which is real property tax admin, that's just a training reimbursement for when I go to my conferences and we take classes. They reimburse us. So, the next page is going to be the expenses. The first one is salary. I have no control over salaries. The next one down is the 210 furniture. I zeroed that out. I still have a chair I need to get for myself. I just haven't done it yet this year, but that's included in this year's money, the $300 from this year. So we zeroed it out. We're good with chairs, hopefully for the next few years. The next one down would be the office equipment reserve, but that's money that's done through for like IT when they're doing computers. That's how that money comes in and out. We don't have anything to do with that. Then you go to the 410, which is supplies. I did decrease that by $300 this year. 422, which is repair and maintenance. I decreased that by $100. My telephone bill, I left it alone. We were a little high last year, but I think by looking at the phone bills, we look like we're pretty good for this year. The postage, I decreased a little bit. The membership dues, that stays the same. We have New York State Assessors Association that I belong to. We have the local Assessors Association that myself and my deputy belong to. I also have dues for being part of the New York State Association of Directors, and then regional dues as well. So that's what it comes to, is the 205. If we go down to the 428, data processing and internet fees, that is where the New York State, the RPS fees comes into play, is there, but like I said, they owe us, it's $15,400 for those, so we split that up with the towns. We contribute $7,700 and they do the same. We also have our internet fees for the 3 seats that have it in our office. And we have our Sybase fee in there as well. So, 444 is for travel and education. 470 contracts. I don't usually have money in there. That is money, though, when we do any of the cleanups for the testing, we transfer it out of the reserve testing fund into that account for me to pay out of it, but I don't actually otherwise have money in that account. And then basically the rest of the stuff is the given, which is Social Security, Medicare. There's workers' comp in there that did go down this year for my office, hospitalization, retirees hospitalization, and dental insurance. So those are all a given. The next would move on to the 1970, which I did lower that by $1,000 on each side, which is an expense and a revenue. Those two accounts are a wash account. One of them is the one that we buy all the supplies to print all the tax bills and the rolls and the receipts on. However, when we buy all that stuff, it's through the supplies to town, but we also charge back to the school their fees. So that's where the offset is, because we don't use all that money to charge, or all those supplies for the town and the school. So when you look at the other, the revenue, it's different than the, what actually comes in than what goes out. It's just because we buy for both the schools as well as the town and county. And I also did include my salary schedule, which is there. If anybody has questions on any of it for me. No?
I thought you worked for free.
I work for free, I wish. No, I don't wish. You wish. That's all I have on my budget. And that's all I have for the real property part of it. Again, unless any of you have questions on my budget. If not, then we still have one more on the agenda, and that is for environmental concerns, and it's about the septic system upgrade initiative. Claudia?
Thank you. It's all right with you, Chairman Brockett. So, Supervisor Simpson and I have been talking about this, and I know that the town of Queensbury is trying to address this, or I'm not sure how far in the process you are, so I was hoping you could give us an update today.
Sure.
And then hopefully Supervisor Simpson and I can come back with something for next month. So if you can leave this on the agenda, that'd be great.
I know, next month, I'm sorry to interrupt, Matt did mention that, because we had
Okay.
talked about him getting somebody to come in and
Yeah,
talk about that invasive species. I'm not sure what it was,
Okay.
but he was hoping to be able to do that next month as well.
Okay.
Well, this has been something we've worked on for over a year now, and we're honing it down. We're, maturing the language, getting a lot of input, and basically what it's going to be is a law that says when property is transferred, the septic system has to be inspected. Like other aspects of the house has to be inspected, you have to have a house inspection on it and so forth, but it's not required to have a septic inspection. So we were especially concerned about shoreline property, and there are members of the board that would like this to apply to all town properties. Whenever the property deed transfers, they will have to show that the septic system was inspected, and if it's in good working order, no further action required. Just that it was inspected and is in working order. Or B, it was inspected and not in working order. Then either the seller or the buyer would have to put up an escrow amount for the repair of the system to put it in working order. So our inspection would include using our own people in our building and codes department to inspect the system at the time it's pumped out. So we'll be able to check out the tank. And if there's any indicators of like sludge levels or the liquid level, or lack of baffles, or any indicator that something in the system is failing, then the next step would be to check the D box, the distribution box, which is the next indicator of, is the field working? Because that can all be told by inspecting the D box. So, you know, the end result will be that that system, if it was failing, has to be put into a healthy mode. So that's what we're looking at. We call it the property transfer law. So, you know, I have yet to talk to Pam to see what kind of issues that may bring up on the county, because we're still working on law. I don't want to present something to Pam until we're pretty sure we've got our end hammered out, so it may take care of some of the questions that you may have. So we have another meeting this Wednesday night. Property transfer law update is there. And so that's where we are on that. It's ongoing. We're not done with it yet.
Claudia?
Does that include, say you're transferring it from like, I don't know, sibling from one sibling to another, like something without consideration, no money?
Was there a deed transfer?
Yeah. So yes. Okay. And my other question is, I thought
For example, it wouldn't apply with a married couple and one of the spouses passed away,
Right.
and it wasn't a deed transfer.
Right.
It wouldn't apply to that.
but it would any other time?
It wouldn't apply
Yeah.
to community systems, possibly. I mean, we're still hammering out the language.
Okay.
So there are some exemptions.
Okay. And I thought I heard last week at NISAC that there's a program to provide state money if you have a program in place identifying the areas of concern like Lakeshore, and someone's system is failing, then that property owner has access to money to help with the upgrade. But I think, you know, like with all of the state programs, you have to meet all the criteria before you get access to that money. But I think that's something that we should look into, because that'll help our residents pay for the upgrades if we're finding that they are necessary.
Well, hopefully they do that before they transfer the property,
Yeah.
because another exemption would be properties that have changed or are in working order in, say, the last 2 years. We haven't come down to the time limit. That would be another exemption. So if somebody, through their own accord or through supplemental of state monies, got the system upgraded within the last 2 years, they wouldn't have to do this.
Yeah, Peter?
Yeah, on the face of it, it appears to be a very reasonable approach to an ongoing problem that has obviously been going on for generations. When there's money potentially on the table, in general terms, that people are a little flexible, I think, when it comes to trying to really do the right thing. The thing that has always confused me about the issue as a whole, and I credit the town of Queensbury for, you know, taking this, I think, positive step, but, you know, from a regional perspective, Lake George, for example, where's Lake George in this issue, okay?
Well, that's what originally brought up the issue. And we haven't concluded whether we're going to keep it to, you know, shoreline properties or those properties that are in the shoreline zone, or expand it to all properties in the town. Because the argument can be made that a failing system is a hindrance to their neighbors and others. As well as you start getting into the thing, well, if you keep it to, you know, shoreline properties, what shorelines are you talking about? Are you talking about the wetlands? They contribute to the lake. Are you talking about the streams? They contribute to the lake. So where are you going to end up at the end of the day?
I think it'll definitely be a plus, because I know we have people that still come into our office and say, you know, I bought my property a couple years ago, and I'm not sure where the septic system is. Is there anything you could do to help us? And we can't, because we don't keep track of that here. So a lot of times we'll send them to the town in hopes that zoning or planning can help them with that issue. So if they know about it when they purchase, where it is, that'll be a great
My
thing.
daughter just bought a house over by the airport,
Mhm.
and it cost her $7,000 to find out that her
Well.
septic system was failing.
Craig, you had a question?
I And this is being brought up here just as a point of information of what Queensbury's doing, or is this to be expanded through?
I'm sharing where I am with Matt Simpson.
Because Matt and I are talking about doing some sort of program countywide,
Okay,
whether it involves every single property or just Lakeshore properties or,
okay.
you know, we haven't gotten that far, but I thought since they're already, you know, why reinvent
Yeah.
the wheel? They're already gone.
I must say, it is a huge issue. Our town board spent about 4 months on a septic review because we
Oh.
sit as a local board of health, and when you do get onto shoreline properties, especially with a lot of non-conforming lots, a lot of smaller lots, it becomes quite an issue for the parties that are involved in any transaction, as well as their neighbors.
So are you looking to pass something similar?
We were,
Like a way to
You know what?
encourage people
We're-
to upgrade?
right, we're seeing a need with the public response over this one issue, about 30 letters that have come in. So you know that it's on top of people's minds about the quality of the septic system on the more sensitive properties. And I agree with John, it's a tough one, how far do you expand, but that can be worked out.
Kevin? Yeah.
Yeah, but they changed the rules on septic systems, what, 2 years ago anyways? I mean,
Right.
you have to get a engineered system put in now, so it's pretty expensive when you have to put in a new system. And Charlie's back there, I don't know, yeah, that's a town thing, right? Each town does septic, but aren't you required to get an engineered system now? So I think that was a couple of years ago, so maybe this goes hand in hand with what's going on, but I think if you check, DOH changed the rules. It's no more of these 55-gallon drums, that's for sure.
No, right,
Now,
no.
I have a question. How, there are many septic systems that were put in over the years. How do you determine how close to the lake some of these are? I mean, I've put in a few my parents had one as a kid, so I've dug more than one dry well. You don't really know where they are unless you make a pole or something, stick it down in the ground. What are you going to do to be proactive about those that are too close to the lake?
Well, if they're functioning, there's little we can do.
Right?
However, most of the systems that have been put in the last 30 years, we have records on.
Right.
And, you know, with new standards, that they be removed from the lake as far as possible.
Right.
The other thing that we're discussing are, for example, if you have a metal septic tank,
Right.
those haven't been installed in the last 40 years, from what I understand. We're going to require that they be removed and the concrete tank be put in its place. Cesspools are an automatic. You have to redo the system. So there are some triggers that would require a new system to be put in.
I can tell you from experience that it isn't much to just dig an offshoot, dig a dry well on your own, and I've put one in myself in 2 days when I was much younger, you know, using brick and just dig down into sand. What if, you almost need some sort of feedback, you know, like if someone has problems and they ask the, you know, people to come in and look at it, you really need some kind of reporting system to get it before people do their own fixes.
Well, I mean, you know, we haven't discussed this, but, Jim, maybe the inspections should include a look at the plumbing down,
Right.
you know, when the...
I'm just alerting you to the problem.
basement or wherever the situation might be, because you can see there, because everything should be going to one collection agency.
Right.
And if you see an offshoot with for example, your laundry going to another
Right.
system, such as you think might
we-
be possible,
My parents had one going, going everywhere.
I'm sure they probably
Where's that
exist.
It's no longer, It's the town of Port Edward, yep.
Just a point of reference, when Queensbury put together a septic tank pump out, we were funded by the state, and every year we would pump out half the septic tanks. And it was a really good program, especially around the lake. I think it was on Harris Bay. There were 74 homes. The best that we could do was probably 36 of those homes we had records of what's in the ground.
Right.
The rest of it, we had to do some kind of an inspection. That program was delayed for a year and a half because nobody wanted us to do an inspection on their property.
Because they don't want you to know where it is.
What we found was 50-gallon drums full of crushed stone, and that was the septic system for, a cottage back 40 years ago. So the inspection part of this is very, very important because it'll tell the buyer what the seller has to do before they close on the deal.
Right. Well, we need to, end discussion. Thank you. All in favor of, I need a motion
I'll make a
first.
motion to adjourn.
Second? Peter, all in favor?
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
Okay.
Good discussion.
Yeah.
Important.